Hello YouTube, my name is Kaylin. I would like to talk to you about hemp and marijuana. First, let me challenge all who are against this to post a comment or make a video explaining why I am flawed in my line of thinking. I will admit that I have never gone to college, and some could say that I am uneducated. However, I have been researching, discussing, and smoking this topic for over 10 years, and so far, I have not met a person that I could not convince. I shortly realized that the full scope of information on this subject is surprising to most people on both sides. However, I feel that most of the informed advocates of it only talk about one or two sides of the issue. For example, you got the people who talk about the medical part of it, and how it has been shown to infiltrate cancer cells and tell them to kill themselves. Or that using CBD can stop grand mal seizures and pain. Then you got the people who talk about the constitutionality of it, and how the founding fathers used to grow it, or that it used to be a mandatory crop, or that the first constitution was written on hemp paper. Then you got the people who explained the first law that made it illegal was initiated by a big shot in the logging industry, and at about the same time, some new ideas and studies emerged on the now tens of thousands of uses for hemp. Or that very law stated that it was legal, but you had to get a stamp from the government that they never made. All of which is true, but my personal favorite are the people who talk about the hemp industry and how much money can be made from taxing marijuana, which is in the tens of billions. The reason I personally like talking to these advocates is because I enjoy learning new products they have found that can be made from hemp. On that note, I would like to lay out my challenge to the world. I think that with simple steps, any country can become self-sufficient, lead the world's economy, become a zero-carbon country, while cheaply feeding and powering their country. In the year 2013, the United States consumed 69 billion barrels of oil. At the same time, there was a little over 300 million people in the United States. That means each person used 230 barrels of oil. Most people that know anything about hemp will tell you that it can be turned into biodiesel. But what most people don't know is that there has been cars and buildings made 90% out of hemp. Just taking these aspects of this subject for now, I would like to propose an idea. If we can grow something that could replace fossil fuels, then it might be something worth looking into. Expanding on that idea, we have the ability, using fish, algae, naturally occurring microbes, and rocks, to turn sewage into drinkable water. Now, I'm not keen on the idea of drinking poop water, even though the processing makes the water cleaner than most tap water. I do, however, feel that if a government uses this process to deal with the country's sewage, they could use that water to grow hemp. The fish from the processing can be used to fertilize the hemp. The algae can be used to make biodiesel. More efficiently than the hemp itself, I might add. From what I have been told, when making when making diesel from fossil fuel, you get 1 unit of energy for every you get 1/10 of a unit of energy for every 1 unit of energy you spend. With biodiesel, you get 1 unit of energy for every 1 unit of energy you spend, which is already better. But if you account for the fact that with today's technology, we can gain that 1 unit of energy with wind, solar, or the methane generated by landfills, it now becomes a positive energy system. To recap what I have laid out so far, you have a sewage system that does not just clean water, but the processes it uses to clean water can be used as fuel. You can take that clean water to grow hemp, which can be used to create more fuel, as well as build new facilities to process more sewage. Taking this concept further, I feel that with hemp, we as a nation can be the first nation that I know of to completely rebuild or revamp all government-owned buildings to be negative carbon, energy efficient, non-polluting, and self-sufficient. Doing this would create jobs, and once said and done, the buildings themselves could produce passive energy that could be sold back to the grid, providing a passive income for the government. I don't imagine that it would be that much, but I feel anytime you can take something that the government spends money on and turn it into an income without taking anything from the government or from the people, it's a good thing. I also feel that we could drastically change our country's foreign relations. How different would it be if people could not say that the only reason we're in the Middle East is for oil? And looking into the future, can you imagine if we as a country went into the Middle East, or many other countries started building schools, hospitals, and infrastructure for free? How much traction do you think ISIS would have if instead of spending billions on killing them, instead we spent the money on feeding, clothing, and housing them, while at the same time generating income for American families? How do you think that North Korea would respond if we traded their hemp for our food? How do you think they would act if we were able to cheaply sell them solar panels so that they can go a day without having a blackout? I will admit that I know little about these subjects, but I feel, for the most part, the reasons for the wars we are in is because we are looked on as evil people trying to take over the country. In fact, some people in the United States think that the government is indeed trying to take over the world. I feel that if we change how we play the game, we can be looked at like somebody who just wants to help themselves by helping you. Because let's face it, if that's not the reason we're at war, what is the point of the war?